over 3 million patients.
980 and pushing 4 million patients.
So, and TPEP, of course, I think can argue that they've actually changed the smoking rate in the population of North Carolina, which may be one of the most important things that we can do. Who's comparable to us? Oregon has the political side much better covered than we do. So everywhere that poor dean goes, whether it's to AHEC or to the legislature or to Medicaid or to the state planning commission, there's a member of John's department running the committee. It is really impressive what he's been able to do. Colorado is impressive because they've been able to reach out with significantly smaller projects, but they have this rural project. They have the great virtue is they've got their version of the Duke Endowment is roughly 3 times as wealthy as the Duke Endowment. So there's lots of money flowing in Colorado. And so I'm thinking about foundations. Where do we go for this year with respect to community health innovation? You know, all of it is about becoming absolutely mission critical to UNC healthcare system. And so a series of interventions around post-acute services, REACH, which is a program for the elderly, PACE and others, is the major focus for the year. You might say, you know, why are we spending all this time in community care? And I think the answer for me is that I believe that primary care should be a foundation for the new healthcare system, but it can't do everything alone. And you need a set of wraparound services where you actually manage care in the community and figure out a way to integrate that into primary care. And that's what we're trying in a variety of different ways here, and that's why it's important. So in terms of moving to education, this is listing where we are. You know, we have a full-service medical education program with very good clerkships, the major textbook in the discipline, and these are abbreviations for various courses. So it's Tommy in CSD, Ann and Advanced Practice Selective, Beat being elected in the Academy of Educators, Martha in the Office of International Activities, and Anthony in the MD-MPH program. So we have a significant footprint in the institution and the growth of scholarship. I guess I should include me in that. The comparisons. This is one of those places where we're really good, but we're not the ones that are outstanding, I think. And that's Oregon. The places I went to are impressive. And they typically have taken the preclinical offerings. And one of the things they do that we don't do as much of is they emphasize patient-centered care and the patient's perspectives. And the other thing is that hands away, their clerkships are the top. There's no differentiating their clerkships in terms of process and outcomes. We actually have, I think, very good clerkship directors in the other clerkships, but they do better in the popularity contest. In terms of goals for the year, I think there are areas in which we can begin to take a lead, population health and quality. BAD has really pushed the idea of teaching practices, which is sort of changing the fundamental structure. What are the lodestars? You know, for me, it is we've got to get numbers and quality. You know, if we're going to meet our goals for where the healthcare system needs to be, we have to double or triple the number of students going into family medicine. And the other important issue, and we've begun to see this, is we actually have to get the best medical students going into family medicine. And if you actually look at the bare bones academic records of our students going into family medicine, we believe there's a little bit of a trend of some of the best students in the class going into family medicine. I think all of you understand that's important because that's future leadership, but they're also the bellwethers who will bring other students in sort of as we go forward. I believe that the way you get students is by being underscoring clinical skills. You know, medicine here teaches how to read chest x-rays and EKGs. Every medical student thinks that that's absolutely critical for their future performance. And I think as BAD has begun to do, we've not been at the table in many of these areas. That's an exaggeration. We've been very much at the table, but beginning to get at participate in this notion of where we are nationally and the national debate about where curriculum should go. I think residency has also seen significant improvement in the last year, and moving forward, it is the new PHS track, the successful recruitment for 10 in a difficult market, and I think the outcomes of the residents last year in terms of where you want your residents to be ended up are great. We've been able, because of that, to take a little bit of a stretch move and with Clark going on Battlefield, promote Christy, and that is working well. Who are our comparisons? And again, we're competing against a set. There's a set of outstanding, at least where I look at it, and Christy and Clark will have opinions, there's a set of outstanding community-based residency programs in California. And then there are, probably Oregon is our toughest competition. Washington will always be tough competition. Right now, we're pretty good East Coast recruiters. We rarely bring people from the West Coast here, sort of moving forward. Obviously, RRC accreditation is #1 of that, and developing of the PHS track, the faculty development necessary for precepting and so on. Where do we went on? Where do we go? And I propose these, is that I really like where we're going about what are our outcomes, how do we improve. By outcomes, I mean, what are our graduates doing, where do they practice, and the leadership piece. I think the PCMH concept is so strong in the discipline right now and nationally, politically, that residencies will be defined by how well they teach that. And we actually have advantages there, but we've not emphasized it as much. I think we're going to need to expand to meet the state's needs. Not next year, not in this financial environment, but let us think, as I've challenged you in the past, to say, how do we triple the size of our residency over 5 or 7 years? If the world turns, we need to figure out how to do that. And I can't imagine a better place to do that than here. How to fund it and do it is another question. And I think this national presence piece. We've done a lot of things that are really innovative. We're beginning to get involved at the national level. I want people to say, if you are thinking about creative teaching or really rigorous care or whatever, come to Carolina. I think we get a fair amount of that. I think we can do more of it. Fellowship programs. This is another long-term strength, and there's 3 pieces of it. The Faculty Development Fellowship, what I'd comment is that there's sometimes value in having an economic storm. It forces competitors out of business. So in the last several years, both the Michigan and the Texas development programs have gone out of business. We're the last one standing. And actually we're beginning to get some new applicants from that point of view. Ultimately, I think where this is going and the way this is being framed at the national level is, how do we train faculty to teach the patient-centered medical health? So again, doing what we're already doing and translating it becomes really important. Career Development Fellowship. We've done this over 10 years now. Margaret will be taking over the leadership of this, and I think one of the questions is how to begin to take that structure and build a 3+1 model linked with the residency. So there are a number of things which we've already done as we go forward. I can't go back. There you go. So, Dr. Newton will try to. It's identified that I have problems with this. There you go. Okay. We need to appreciate the 25-year legacy, Don, of the Primary Care Research Fellowship. This is a key source of pipeline for people who are going into research in family medicine, and we need to think about how do we attract more family physicians into that, although it's been very useful to work with the pediatricians and the interns. In terms of research, this is one of those ones where it isn't best done in a year